What is Shavuot? On the one hand, it's the middle child of the three pilgrim festivals. We have great excitement. Everyone knows about Pesach, and everyone knows about Sukkot. Pesach has matzah and the Seder. Sukkot has the Sukkah and the Lulav and the excitement of those festivals. Shavuot appears. And whereas Pesach and Sukkot are 7 days long, or 8 days as the case in the diaspora, Shavuot is just 1 day in Israel and 2 days in the diaspora. You almost miss it. What is so important about the festival of Shavuot? There are two distinct parts to this festival. On the one hand, historically, Shavuot celebrates the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. It is the culmination of the 7-week journey that started when the Jews exited from Egypt until they arrive at the foot of Sinai. Pesach celebrates the physical freedom when we left the slavery of Egypt. And Shavuot is the spiritual freedom, giving us our identity and who we are and what we're supposed to be and represent. On Shavuot, we go to Shul and we reenact the Sinai experience. We stand up while the Torah is being read, and the particular portion chosen is that of the 10 Commandments. When I hear those words, my mind is cast back to 3,300 years ago, when God spoke to the Jewish people at Mount Sinai. A tradition of many synagogues is to decorate the shul with greenery. This is done to remind us of how the Mount Sinai, when the Torah was given, suddenly became green, although it was found in a desert. Shavuot itself does not have any particular mitzvah, unlike Pesach with matzah and Sukkot with the Sukkah, or Rosh Hashanah with the shofar. The only mitzvah there is Isur Malacha. It's a day of rest and not to work. There are, however, a number of fantastic customs that have developed. Custom number 1, milk products or dairy products. Shavuot, being the first festival to receive the Torah, it is customary for Jews to eat milk products. The reason for this is a play on gematria. Gematria means the numerical value of the letters. The Hebrew word for milk or dairy is chalav. And if we look at each letter, chet has a numerical value of 8, lamed 30, and bet 2. Together forms 40. And the number 40 obviously symbolizes the 40 days that Moses was on Mount Sinai to receive the Torah. In the same way as a mother's milk nurtures the baby, so too the Torah has nurtured the Jewish people throughout the centuries. It is thus a tradition to have cheesecake, blintzes, ice cream parties as part of the Shavuot celebration. Of course, the sweetness of the milk products reminds us of the sweetness of Torah. A second tradition is that we read the Book of Ruth. The reason for reading the Book of Ruth is that Ruth accepts upon herself to convert to Judaism and become part of the Jewish people. The story of Ruth takes place during this period of time in Israel, which is the barley season to the wheat season, from Pesach to Shavuot. And it highlights the second theme of Shavuot, which is its agricultural element. Each of the pilgrim festivals, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, in addition to have a historical connection, Pesach, Exodus from Egypt, Shavuot, revelation at Sinai, and Sukkot, how the Jews traveled in the desert. Shavuot, each of the 3 pilgrim festivals are also agricultural. Pesach in the spring, beginning of the planting season, and the barley harvest. Shavuot, 7 weeks later, the beginning of the sign of the summer is beginning, and the wheat harvest. And Sukkot, at the end of the year, it says, gathering in all the crops. This element of the agricultural side of the festival has been lost. Most of us do not live on a farm, and many do not live in Israel. But it's important that as part of our collective memory, we highlight this part of the festival. In the days gone by, Jews would bring their bikurim, their first fruits, and walk up to Jerusalem to present them at the temple. Shavuot was a pause in the year, a day to start the celebration and to acknowledge where all the food and all the gifts of the farmer comes from, ultimately from Hashem. Shavuot also has a third custom, very famous custom. That is called Tikkun Leil, staying up all night and studying of the Torah. The best way to describe it is as follows. Imagine it's your birthday, and you know that your parents are giving you the best birthday present ever. How can you sleep at night? You're tossing, you're turning, you're so excited. How can you even think of falling asleep at night? And thus, the tradition of Tikkun Leil, staying up all night. The Hebrew word tikkun means to correct. So what went wrong? According to the Medrash, the Jewish people overslept on the morning of the giving of the Torah, and God had to wake them with the sounding of a shofar. We felt so embarrassed that this great event in history of God appearing to an entire nation, and we overslept. A tradition developed to stay up all night and study Torah. When I was a young boy in yeshiva, I went up to my teacher, Rabbi Lichtenstein of blessed memory, and asked him the following question. In Israel, Shavuot is one day. If I stay up all night studying the Torah in preparation for the service and receiving the Torah, I'm so tired the next morning that I end up davening and then sleeping and almost missing the festival. Wouldn't it make more sense to study a little bit, have a good night's sleep, be up in the morning, receive the Torah, and then study the gifts that I've been given? Rabbi Lichtenstein looked at me with the most perplexing face. He didn't understand the question. And he says to me, if it's your birthday and you're getting a toy, would you not be excited to get excited? I said, absolutely. He said, of course, you stay up all night. And what happens when you receive the toy? Well, you want to play with it. You want to see it. You want to play with it. So who can fall asleep after receiving the Torah? He could not grasp what I was saying. I've never been able to live up to his expectation and his level. But I think it's a very powerful message about what Shavuot is all about. Every year we have the opportunity to rededicate and recommit ourselves to Torah and its values and its teachings. We stay up at night in preparation. We then receive the Torah from Hashem. And then, as that excited child who unwraps the present and is so excited to receive the present, that's how we should feel when we're on Shavuot morning after Shul. And the energy that is created from Shavuot should spur us on to learn more, to engage more in our heritage, to become Torah scholars, each at our own level. I wish you all Chag Shavuot Sameach, Chag Sameach, and have a wonderful and meaningful Shavuot.